How are you, sir?
I am good. How are you?
Good.
Good.
I'm excited to be doing another one of these sessions with you. Highlight of my day. What are we going to learn today about capos?
Well, first of all, I know there's people out there that don't really understand what a capo is and how it works, and then there's other people that have a misconception of a guitar capo. So I thought it might be a really good conversation just to get out of the way of talking about the capo. So
Sure.
really, what the capo is, if you think about the guitar, the capo just acts like this white piece here is called the nut. And basically, if you think about the guitar, that's where the strings end, right? So if you play a D chord, okay, you play a D chord with a space in between, one fret right there in between, or an A chord, for instance, you've got a space in between, and then you've got the nut. So basically, what we want to do is we want to be able to take any of the chords that we're learning how to play and move them up the guitar. But in order to move them up, if you think about my playing a D chord, for instance, I'm pressing on the first, second, and third strings, but I'm playing the bottom four. So I have an open string right here. So if I just start moving up, the sound of the chord is going to get a little weird. I can hear part of the chord moving up in pitch because my fingers are moving up, but the part of the chord that uses the open strings isn't going anywhere. So what the capo does is it allows you to take that nut right there, the beginning of the guitar, and move it wherever you want. So if you think about it, if I was to take the capo here and press it or place it on the first fret, I'm going to just take a look here. Basically what I'm doing is just going right next to the actual fret wire. I'm just kind of placing the capo, clamp it down right next to that fret wire. I don't want to clamp it on the fret wire, and I don't want to clamp it way back here. I just want to get kind of close to it, okay? Just like that. Now what happens is that D chord no longer would be at the second and third frets. I would have to move it up one fret, but now it's actually going to sound like a D chord. It's going to sound like a real chord, or a C chord, or a G chord, or whatever it is I'd like to play. I can move it up wherever I want to the third fret, play a D, or a C, or a G. And what you're going to hear is every time I move it up, the guitar essentially is shrinking because these frets become useless. So the more I move it up, the higher the pitches get, and of course the more it's going to sound more like a ukulele or something as I keep going. So really, what is the purpose of the capo? Well, the first thing that we think about is the fact that we can keep the open chords that we're learning intact. So if you learn how to play Sweet Home Alabama, right, and you want and you want to be able to do all the licks and things that you normally do. You don't want to have to play it as like a bar chord or something. You want to keep it intact. It's just in a bad key, right? And this happens, one of the biggest places that I found myself using a capo, and I'm more of a rock guitar player, so I didn't use a capo a lot other than maybe a song that I was learning that had a capo. But I found it very useful when I was doing weddings. And the reason is because I might be learning a song that the bride and the groom want for their wedding, and then the bride's maid of honor or whatever is going to sing it, right? And she's from wherever, not around here, okay? So it's the morning of the wedding. I've learned the song as I normally would in the actual album key, the way it's supposed to be played, all that sort of thing. She gets off the airplane and shows up for the wedding, and she has learned it off some karaoke track or whatever it might be. And now here we are, right? I've learned it in a different key. She's learned it in a different key. Now, there's no doubt that I could revamp my chords and learn it in a different key, but maybe the song really needs to be in a certain key because of the fingering that I'm using with the chords or whatever. I mean, there's a million different scenarios. So a really easy thing for me to do is just to listen to her sing it, and then what I do is I start kind of figuring out where okay, so that's how it goes. So she's singing. I don't want her to change anything. Okay, she doesn't do this. This isn't her livelihood necessarily. And even if it is, her voice can only sing so high and so low comfortably. I can make the adjustments. So I'm listening to her and I'm still a little low, right? So I move it up a little more. Now that fits. That's where she's singing it right now. So I don't have to freak myself out on the day of the wedding either, because if you've never played weddings and funerals, they are the most most stressful things you could ever play. Playing in front of 10,000 people, whatever. playing at a wedding or a funeral are really stressful because those days are extremely important to a very small group of people. And everything's being recorded, and this is going to be their memory for the rest of their lives. You don't want to make mistakes. So I don't want to have to revamp what I've practiced in my brain. I just want to play it and, make it memorable for them. So now I can play it the way I normally play it. I'm just in a different key now because of the capo, and I found the key that works for her. Hey, Steve Stine here. Thank you so much for watching. If you like these sorts of videos, please subscribe to the channel. Now, by now, there should be some other videos available for you to watch on my left or right, so click on those to check those out as well. And all these videos are just smaller chunks of my larger videos from the main YouTube channels. One is Guitar Zoom, and the other one is Steve Stine Guitar Lessons. You can look those up and subscribe to those as well. And be sure to check out the premium guitar courses and lessons available at guitarzoom.com.